Go shopping for a new computer. You got so many options. It'll make your head spin sometimes.
Before the break, we mentioned one customer who couldn't decide what he really wanted, even after trying out a few different computers at home.
Thor Schrock owns Schrock Innovations. Good to see you, Thor.
Good to see you guys.
So what's the deal with this guy? So he went and bought one of your PCs, your modulars, then took that back, went and bought a PC, right?
Yeah, so he came into our Lincoln Service Center and he purchased a modular computer. He bought the Boundless model, which is a $500 computer. He added endpoint and secure updater and just the normal things that people add. There was a little confusion because he thought when he grabbed the box, because we have them in stock in the stores now, so you can just come in and buy a computer. You don't have to wait the 10 days to get one anymore. So he comes in and picks up the box, and it's just the case box. To anybody in our building, we look at the box and say, that's a case, that's a computer, that's not a monitor, that's not a keyboard, mouse, all that stuff. So he picks up the box, takes it home, gets it all unpacked, and his daughter says, Dad, this isn't going to work. We need a monitor and a keyboard and mouse and stuff. And he goes, I just thought it was all in the box, and okay, whatever. So he lives outside of Lincoln, so the Best Buy in Lincoln was actually closer to him than the Schrock store. So he calls Kathy in Lincoln and says, hey, can I just go to Best Buy and pick up a monitor, keyboard, and mouse? Will it be compatible? And Kathy's like, well, of course it will be. It's modular. It's compatible with just about everything. So yeah, go out and pick it up. And so, because it's about the good service. If he doesn't want to drive back to our store, then, tell him where to get it. So he grabs his invoice to make sure everything's compatible, goes into Best Buy, says, I need a monitor, keyboard, and mouse. And the Best Buy guy's looking at his invoice and he says, wow, you spent $800 on this computer, because he's taking like the full price of everything he bought. And he says, this HP over here is $500 normally, but if you buy it today, I can knock $100 off. And it literally has double the memory and double the hard drive of what you bought from Schrock. I mean, they build good stuff at Schrock. This he genuinely said.
Right.
The guy at Best Buy wasn't derogatory. He was very professional. He said, the Schrock builds great stuff, but I mean, 800 versus 400. Come on, man.
So I got to get to I want to hear more of the story faster. So the guy buys the HP, and then he brings the other one back to the other store.
I like where you're going with this.
Well, I know, but I want to talk about how our.
So he gets mad. He calls us. He's angry.
Fired up.
He's angry because he thinks we ripped him off.
And then he buys the Best Buy
So
computer.
he returns the computer to Schrock. We hit him with a 20% restock fee, because that's what you got to do in technology industry. And so then he emails me because he's upset about the restock fee. So then I call him back and say, what's the deal? And I had to explain to him, like, okay, yeah, you get a 2 terabyte hard drive in the HP, but it's half the speed. You get double the memory in the HP, but it's half the speed. The computer is half the computer.
It's slower.
And it's not upgradable at all. It runs off a laptop power adapter. We did that on the segment here. Remember we had the 2 computers and we showed you?
Right, so it wasn't even a contest.
So after that, he's like, oh my gosh, he was in the Best Buy parking lot after buying the computer. He turned around, went back into Best Buy, returned that computer. I called Kathy in Lincoln. I said, remember that guy that returned the computer that was upset about the restock fee? She said, yeah. So he's coming back to buy the computer again. And he told me on the phone, Thor, I said, he said, Kathy told me everything you told me. I just wasn't in a place where I was ready to listen. And so I said, Kathy, that's just the difference between you calling somebody and me calling somebody.
Oh, great. Right.
But that's the thing. It's a lot of people, they don't know about computers. So they have to trust somebody.
When you reduce everything down to that 3x5 card on the shelf, there's no possible way that you can understand the computer.
Yeah.
You just
and
can't.
You can't compare apples to apples because none of the apples look the same.
No.
And it's like, unless you know what all of those numbers and letters mean, you have no way of knowing how that applies to you once you get home.
And the difference between your modular computer than one of those box store PCs, what's the main difference?
Well, the main difference is that the modular computer is designed for future upgrade, growth, and expansion, whereas an HP is a disposable computer. I'm not saying that in a bad way, but they're engineered to be obsolete within a couple years. And then there's no ports. You can't put memory in it. You can't put an extra hard drive in it. You can't replace the power supply inside because there isn't one inside. It's a big box of air. With the modular computer, the example I gave him is, he's got teenage kids. And right now they're playing Minecraft. They're very young teens. They're playing Minecraft. Eventually they're going to want to play Call of Duty. They're going to want to start playing the first-person shooter kind of games. That HP has no place to install a video card that would allow them to play those games. So the day that your kid decides he wants to play a higher and more advanced game, he is not going to be able to play it on the HP. He's going to need to buy a new computer, which means you're going to buy a whole new system, and HP knows that. And you're going to buy the better system, the $900, $1,000, $2,000 system from HP, so you can get the video card. Whereas with a modular computer, you bring it in, we put the video card in, you're done.
So what do our viewers do? Right, this story resonates with them because they've been there. I don't know this fellow's name, but they've been in his shoes before.
Well, he was a little embarrassed. I didn't want to.
No, I don't want you to tell. No, please don't do that.
Joe Smith.
Okay. if they're in Joe's shoes now, what can they do to sort of learn from his experience
Sure.
and then at least get a look at one of these modular PCs?
What a lot of people don't realize is at Schrock, we're about making sure that your computer is a good fit for you. So if you're in a place where you just want that HP and you're set on the HP, we're not going to try to talk you out of it. We'd rather have you buy the HP and then bring it to us for service, because you're going to need a lot of service. So bring it to us for service and then we'll take care of you. So what we tell our customers is, when you're buying a computer, come take a look at what we've got. That's cool. If you just want us to look over what you're buying, to tell you if it's a good deal, or tell you if somebody else is building you a custom computer, we're not going to try to talk you out of it and sell you one of ours, but we can look down the specifications and tell you the questions you need to ask to make sure you're getting a good value.
Some of your last few visits, you talked about the Allen band. Just remind our viewers, we got about a minute left, what that is, where you're at in the process.
She was rushing me like we were
I
going
know.
to fall
I know.
over Niagara Falls.
I know.
You know?
I'm sorry.
She got a little, she got
got
nervous.
excited.
I know, I tend to go on. No, actually the Allen band's doing amazing. We've reached our goal on Indiegogo, as you guys know. We are about $7,000 into that stretch goal already of $17,000. The factory is already, we're supposed to hopefully have our design, our first CAD design this week.
Wow.
So we'll be able to see what it looks like on the outside.
terrific.
We spent some time with Russ, the software developer for the Allen band, whiteboarding it, whiteboarding the software. And believe it or not, there's actually, they call it a breadboard kit designed for wearables. It's ginormous, but it allows, the breadboard kit allows us to actually build the Allen band with all the sensors, and it's going to look like an Iron Man thing. It's going to be like a big computer here, and there's going to be like a heart rate sensor and a body temperature sensor and everything else, but we can program it to talk to the server, so we can get all those communications knocked out before we even have the handmade prototype back from the factory.
October 31st is a huge date as
It is.
fundraising goes, because
It's scary.
right now we're at this point where he's trying to get in like the second phase of fundraising to bring it to the market months ahead of schedule is
Yeah.
kind of the deal, and then get it into some of the biggest trade shows in the world. So that's why the 31st is the deadline for some of this. So if you'd like to learn more about the Allen Band, go to theallenband.com or look for it on Facebook. If you're interested in modular PCs, you're welcome to not just go to the Lincoln store like Joe Smith did, but you can go to any of them, Lincoln, Papillion, Omaha, and ask about it. That way, as Thor said, you know you're getting a good value.
Yeah, Joe Smith, he must be a patient guy.
Or Neri Melson.
Stopping all those
Neri
places.
Melson.
Neri Melson, yeah.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thor. All right, still ahead, the
Schrock
UK
Rock.
The
Wanted to make sure I
UK.
wasn't saying anything dirty.
You done yet?
Yep.
The UKC show coming to Omaha. It's not too late to get your dog entered.
Next, a personal robot that makes it more fun for our kids to learn. Michelle Yarn is standing by to give us a
You're
look.
so funny.